Welcome to ESVN, the Emma Sports Vigeland Network show. My name is Emma Vigeland, and you know what to do, folks. Subscribe to this channel, youtube.com/ESVN show. You can put on push notifications so you know when we're going live, especially when, Bradley's out of the country on his honeymoon for a million years, and we have a bit of a different schedule. Rate us 5 stars wherever you're listening to this, and then also give a very warm welcome to my friend, Matt Lech.
Hello, everyone.
Who is manning the booth over there. There he is.
Yep.
There he is in Bradley's absence. We're going to talk football, but you're going to have to probably listen a little bit more and then ask inquisitive questions.
I'm cool with that. That's
a little redundant.
Yeah. I'll ask very incisive follow-ups like, is Bill Belichek the John Fetterman of football because of his fashion choices?
That is accurate. Yeah, there've been press conferences where he literally has just giant holes in his shirt and things like that. Also, Matt is drinking at work with me. Yes.
Forgot I was on camera.
No. Well, I mean, cheers. We at least I use this as an excuse to celebrate, and here we go. Very nice. Bradley used to do this more with me until he was preparing for his wedding and wanted to be all healthy, which is disgusting. So for now, I get to indulge with Matt here. Let's start off in your comfort zone, NBA talk. How are you feeling right now about the Timberwolves? They're in a bit of a slump.
Well, I've been bothering you to come on here and talk about the Timberwolves
for
pretty much the entirety of the NBA season. Maybe not the first couple of games.
Okay, the NBA season doesn't start until February. I mean, for me at least. I don't care enough.
You missed the entire mid-season tournament, or is that what they call it?
What was your opinion on that tournament?
I came entirely around about it. So
really?
Because I had this thing during the summer where I couldn't listen to any of my basketball podcasts except the ones with Wozniak and Bray on them because I couldn't listen to them talk about this tournament. It seemed pointless. I want them to lower the amount of games so they're more significant. And
I agree.
Players,
yeah, hockey too should do that, and less injuries.
But I gotta say, the second I saw those ugly ass courts on the TV from across the bar, and I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing.
What, you're making yourself a Euro game, essentially? That's what it looked like. I was like, is this being played
to quote a little guy named Ron DeSantis, Ron DeSanctimonious, we're not going in pastel colors anymore. We're going in bold colors all over the court, so it gives everyone in the bar a headache. But I thought it actually, it led to a immediate intensity to the NBA season that I don't think I've seen, because you're right that there is a sense that for me it's the Christmas games, that the NBA season is sort of has 2 preseasons, and it really heats up around this time when the trades start shaking out. But I think this season's been extremely strong from the start, especially because the Timberwolves have been they're still number 1 in the West.
Yes, even though they're not playing their best right now. But damn, I mean, it's I guess, what, did John Morant just get shoulder surgery recently?
Yeah, so that was announced this week.
Yeah.
And to me, it's they're kind of almost too far back to make much of a push. They could make it interesting for the Warriors or the Rockets, but...
Right. I was excited at least to see them try to get into the play-in.
I like that he looked good immediately, but... I also think maybe you don't. Ja has such a play style that could lend to him doing something.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like with Chet Holmgren for OKC, he had an injury early on the season. They're just let's shut him down because we're just gonna work for the season after. And look at how great that's turned out. I think the Grizzlies just got to bite it this year.
I mean, they can bite it and then play for draft position or whatever. But I mean, do you feel like the Timberwolves are actually competitive against the Nuggets in the West?
In a 7-game series, I think on the optimistic side, even the Nuggets, but I think a lot of people said after last year that high life, that they gave the Nuggets the best run of any team in the playoffs, and that was without McDaniels. And were they missing anybody else? But at least Jaden McDaniels, their best wing defender, one of the best wing defenders in the league. But ultimately, no, I think we're very short at point guard. I think Mike Conley has been giving the Wolves way more than I thought he would when they got him in the trade.
Oh yeah, I mean he's old, but stabilizing presence.
He's so good. Like he's so solid. He's been that way since Ohio State. Like he's like the prototype point guard that doesn't stick out, but will give you like a double.
He seems like a coach's point guard.
Yeah, and also he like really necessary to get him because I think he's really unlocked Rudy Gobert.
Oh yeah.
But ultimately, like they don't have a backup for Conley, and that scares me a lot. And then their offense is just a little bit too can't really, I don't think, pull them as the best player because their offense is stagnant. Let's face it, like they're top 10 in defense, but their offense just isn't that great.
Yeah, I mean they could add at the trade deadline to get like a backup point guard that could give them a little bit more.
Or I think Golden State Warriors could just start rebuilding and get Steph Curry to Minnesota like they should have drafted him, and I think they could get a ring out of this.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you,
I've run that test in NBA 2K. I'll tell you, and
it works out well.
Pretty good combination to have.
Yeah,
Steph Curry, Anthony Edwards.
I mean 3-team trade and then somehow, or 4-team trade, and then as I'm saying, my Joel Embiid's coming to the Knicks. You know.
Yeah, Emma's really
got that connection, CAA connection. No, I mean I think that's his agency. Is the rumor, the scuttlebutt, right? CAA, if I'm not mistaken. Now I'm gonna look this up.
That's the same one that's like the Bitcoin agency. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I mean, it's just Embiid is still with CAA, which is interesting just because that is like the deep connections that the Knicks front office has. They basically go after CAA clients like that. But I'm more invested now in the NBA because of the Knicks being good. They have not lost since they traded for OG Anunoby, who is perfect because, like, the problem, I mean, and honestly, it's been a win-win for both sides because Quickly and RJ Barrett are playing really well in Toronto, and RJ in particular, if you look at the box scores, like, they needed a young talent infusion. RJ needs to be on ball, and it just was not working with
and the Raptors
Brunson
had nobody.
And it was just not
good for on ball.
And then also Quickly he was not going to re-sign with the Knicks. He wants to start somewhere and get a rich contract to be a starting point guard. And he brings a lot of energy, but he's not Jalen Brunson, who speaking of like coaches point guards, I mean his coach is literally his dad. Yeah. But he puts like watching Jalen Brunson is the joy of my life. Like his
high school highlights are very cool.
He takes so much pressure off of Julius Randle, which is necessary because he's like a moody SOB sometimes and will just shut down once he gets frustrated. But Brunson has an energy that, like, I think, anybody that coaches basketball would be just in awe of because he never gives up on a play. He's so physical and getting to the rim, and he distributes and has incredible vision. So they just needed a guy in the starting 5 who can shoot threes efficiently and then also play defense and be in position off ball so that Brunson can distribute and like Randall can suck the defense towards him. And so I love the trade. They just have to extend Anunoby and then find a way to get a final piece to really complement the entire team. And they need, like, I don't think that Mitchell Robinson in the end is gonna be able to be the answer, even though he was playing really well to start the year. He just can't stay healthy.
I mean, yeah, if you have the A1 star somewhere else, then maybe, and it's not Brunson, for instance, somebody above him, then maybe, I think Robinson can do it. But if you're really holding out on Embiid, then
I'm trying to will into existence. You are holding out for Steph Curry to get traded to the Timberwolves. What do you think the Timberwolves would have to give up for that? Second round pick, probably,
Kyle
right?
Anderson.
Yeah.
I've actually seen the Raptors and the Knicks play both against the Nets in the past couple of years, so it seemed, and you remember what I said about the trade?
What? Yeah, I don't remember actually. No.
I said it was like the Knicks upgrading a Civic to an Accord.
Okay, so
I was wrong.
Take it back.
It does look like it's one of those trades that is mutually beneficial for both, because that was the problem with the Raptors when I saw them is Van Vliet was okay on ball, but like besides that, Scotty Barnes, not really. Pascal, they all are better like cutters with nobody who's actually like collapsing the defense to do it. And RJ is good at that. And I think I I think why I thought it wasn't going to be that good for the Knicks is I think I overestimated how similar they were defensively, which is stupid because OJ has a reputation of being just like,
yeah,
I think
OG, you mean?
OG, yeah. RJ, I think I overrated on defense. I think he's not maybe what I thought. So that is much more of an upgrade.
Now, I mean, he was just, he was not, especially this year, he was really inconsistent. And he was having these migraine issues that were like throwing him off of his game. So I don't know. He's back in Toronto.
I'm in trade talks, headaches.
Yeah. And I like when a team that you're a part of like does right by a player and, you know, traded him to his hometown.
And that's what happened with the Kings and Pacers.
Oh, yeah.
With trading Halliburton for Domantas Sabonis, they would both, even though Halliburton's maybe the best point guard in the league now, the Kings would probably still do that trade again because of what it means for. Why am I blanking his name now? The Kings point guard.
Jesus Christ. You know, the
really
amazing player, De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox, yeah. Who I first heard of when in his rookie season. I don't think it's true, but people thought that from this video, it looked like he said the Dragon Ball Z Kamehameha after making a 3-pointer.
I hope he did.
Which I thought would have been the coolest thing.
Yes. Tyrese Halliburton, I was watching some game, and it was like, I forget who they were even playing. I was following it at least. And it was like the third quarter, and he had something like 13 or 14 assists by that point. And he's just
doing 20 and 20, which is
unbelievable.
Scoring 140 points.
I mean, and he's got those. He's got like the decision making, and he's got those long rangy arms where he can. You
probably don't remember Sean Livingston.
No.
Like he had a second sort of stint of his career as a sixth man for the Warriors when they're winning their first championships, but he was a 6'7" point guard, and he was like similar to Halliburton in that like that size plus elite playmaking is just really difficult to deal with. Yeah,
that was the hope that the Knicks had when, you know, I was actually at that draft. I used to go, I think before COVID, I went to 3 consecutive NBA drafts with, you know, my partner who's quite invested in like the Knicks and their rebuild. And when we were so excited.
Yeah, what picks did you see?
I saw Ntilikina, I saw Kevin Knox, and then I'm forgetting that and RJ Barrett. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one.
Right. I think so, but definitely Knox and Ntilikina, which we were both so pumped about at the time. And both were like physical. We thought they were physical freaks or whatever. Ntilikina has those long arms, and it's like, God, if he can just get some scoring together, he's an incredible defensive point guard. He never got his scoring together, and he can't stay on an NBA court.
That's the problem. Is you think it's like I'm gonna get the next Sean Livingston or Tyrese Halliburton, you end up getting like Michael Carter Williams.
Yeah, right. All right. Any other NBA thoughts before I move forward?
I don't know who's gonna win. I don't think it's gonna be the Timberwolves. Unfortunately, I think we need another year and maybe a move or two.
Are you liking at least how Rudy Gobert is playing for the team?
I like that, and Rudy Gobert is a goober. I think politically, I don't think you want to scratch too deeply into that.
Asshole,
but last year was tough, just on a interpersonal level, to watch him. Basically, it looked like all of his teammates hated him.
I think that's kind of the reputation, right?
There was no like, you know, the normal stuff of like body language and high fives and stuff like that, and that's absolutely different this year. And it's actually like, it's not, because you usually think people, and these are all like younger men typically, like when you decide on somebody like, we don't fuck with that guy, he's cooked.
Yeah, right.
And Rudy's won his way back into it, and I think it's really, you know, kind of inspiring, and it helps when you like actually play really good defense and can.
I mean, he's averaging 12 rebounds a game. I just looked it up.
Yeah,
12 rebounds a game.
People don't know. He is the single season lead. He has a single season record for most dunks in a season.
He does?
Yeah, but people don't know because the rest of his offensive game is so brutally bad.
You would not anticipate that whatsoever.
Because he just dunks it all.
But it's just purely height and like place and time being right below the rim most likely, right?
Exactly. Yeah, or catching lobs from Mike Conley, both at both teams.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, that's true. That's true. That's not something I would have anticipated. I watched a little bit of the Lakers. They're a frustrating watch. It's a two-man
Yeah.
show, and the entire support. Like LeBron looks like he wants to kill everybody that
That's
he's
the
playing
thing is
with.
both him and Steph, they're stuck on teams, and you don't feel so bad for the Warriors because they got their like actually both LeBron and
No,
Steph got
I
their
mean,
final hurrahs.
Yeah, and LeBron's been like calling the shots on personnel in LA this entire time, and it has not worked out. So like, I don't really feel badly for him. I feel a little bit badly for Anthony Davis, who just has like such elite ability and
Is finally putting it together.
finally putting it together. Right, exactly. But yeah, I was watching this game, right? It was one of the nationally televised games with the Lakers. Oh, it was against the Grizzlies, and Cam Reddish was in the starting five with LeBron, and you're like, this is just not sustainable. I mean, that like this 39-year-old guy cannot be carrying the squad, and it's showing they're at 500 right now. I don't really see them going anywhere either. So, all right.
Tough out there for Austin Reeves. It's fun when you're like the young Cinderella story
Yes.
that is surprising expectations. When you are the third guy and everyone's like why aren't you in the top of the West? It's like, oh, this sucks. I might be trade bait.
All right, I have one more question for you. What's your take on the Jordan Poole situation? Speaking of like Cinderella stories for like a year that ended up well, I mean, there were questions about him with the Warriors, but he put it together in that final run, and he looks like garbage in Washington.
I feel bad for Jordan Poole. I think the Warriors, it'd fuck anybody up.
Yeah.
And I think there's certain things about his game that maybe, you could have predicted this trajectory, but the Warriors should have traded Draymond last year to the Pistons or some shit, get him out of there, and kept Jordan Poole, in my opinion. And I don't know that he would be fixing all their problems because I think he's kind of like a, empty calories point guard. But I just think there's a clip of him reacting when he was going back to Golden State to the compilation montage of his best moments as Warriors, and I mentioned he's like smiling and like, I don't know, I just feel like that maybe I'm getting a little bit soft because I'm 35 now and I look at all these guys as like a generation younger than me.
Yeah.
I just feel like, oh shit, how would I have handled that?
Right,
As
right.
like a 24-year-old in
That's
front of
why I
20,000
felt bad
people.
for John Morant, too. That whole saga last year. He's 21, 22, gets a lot of money,
A little bit lost.
enjoying a gun or two for fun, and a strip club.
And the Instagram live.
Yeah, and, we've all done. I mean, I was an idiot back then. I was an idiot at that time in my life. I can't even imagine if I had unlimited resources what I would act like. That's probably one of the many reasons why I could never be a professional athlete. Once I got that money, I'd have zero discipline. It would be party time.
Oh yeah.
For sure. All right. Speaking of players, that was not a great transition. So we're gonna play this Aaron Rodgers stuff, right? Okay. So maybe just when you're not, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a pointer. When you're not sitting there, just go to a one shot. Yeah. Now people are also seeing how messy the office is, but don't even worry about it. So Aaron Rodgers had a meltdown on Pat McAfee's show. It all started when Aaron Rodgers, and this is not the clip, but he goes on Pat McAfee. I think this was last week. Pat McAfee used to be with Barstool, then FanDuel or something, some sports book. Then he left to go to ESPN. But he still keeps the bro chat format in place. And that's getting him in a little bit of trouble because his weekly spot where Aaron Rodgers comes on, AJ Hawk is to the right of him, who he played with in Green Bay, who seemingly says nothing. I saw him getting compared to it's Rodgers and McAfee talking, and then a Stonehenge. Is this a Stonehenge figure just replaces AJ Hawk? But regardless, I don't understand the appeal of this show. But
I just want to be next to this guy self-immolating.
Yeah, right. But he really rarely even reacts facially. It's quite weird. Rodgers just goes on and talks about his feelings. I've been well documented as a massive Aaron Rodgers fan before all of this. I thought he was actually politically progressive because he was really the only white star quarterback in the league at the time to stand up for Kaepernick. No Brady, no Eli Manning, no Peyton Manning. Drew Brees was actually negative about the protests and the kneeling. Aaron Rodgers coming out saying Kaepernick should be on a team. Racism is real. Like, he's being blacklisted for his protests. That was in the NFL, which is much more conservative than the NBA. Kind of a big deal when he did that. So for me, I was like, already obsessed with him as a player. I thought he was the man. Turns out he's not. And you can be okay on that stuff and horrible on other things. And COVID broke his brain because this is the guy that loves to play semantics and mind games with the press. He said, I've been immunized. And then it comes out he hasn't been vaccinated. Immunized was a weird choice of phrase when you look back in hindsight, but the media just took him at his word and thought that meant the COVID vaccine. Turns out he took a bunch of supplements or something like that. And then got mad at the media and said he was being canceled when it was revealed that he was being purposefully obtuse. So now flash forward to last week. Jimmy Kimmel had been making fun of him and calling him a faux intellectual over vaccine stuff for a while, and Aaron took that personally, clearly. So Aaron goes on Therapy Hour with Pat McAfee and says something to the effect of, Jimmy Kimmel's not going to be happy, or he better watch out, or what did he say?
So it came up that they mentioned the Epstein list is going to be revealed,
right?
And Rodgers says a lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are worried. That.
Yeah, which is the implication is clear, okay?
That he is on Epstein's client list.
That is the implication, which is not the case. There is no evidence to support that whatsoever.
Nope.
And so Jimmy was
even if you think about the timelines for which this would be, it would have been like when. And not that that's impossible, I guess, but when he was at the Man Show on Comedy Central, which, less prominent, I think, than a major.
Exactly. It wouldn't have made sense, but
it's not like Bill Clinton or Tony Blair.
Yes, Rodgers is just trying to, stick his conspiracy theory nonsense on somebody he doesn't like for really petty reasons, and that's alluding to the fact that he's accusing him of being a pedophile. That is serious shit. Jimmy Kimmel is the host of a major show on ABC. ABC owns ESPN. ESPN is where Pat McAfee does these broadcasts. I think they got a real talking to. Aaron Rodgers, after Jimmy Kimmel is roasts him basically for this, comes on McAfee's show, and don't worry, he's not bitter at all.
Again, unprompted, we're talking on our show, as we do, about a lot of different topics. Somehow the Epstein client list comes up.
You brought it up.
And I said, it's interesting, and there were for a long time. Even still, there hasn't been a list that's been released. There's been one person's, deposition from a 2015 case, right? But we said there's an excitement to expose corruption. And what I joked about the other day about popping a bottle, there's excitement about when the corruption anywhere gets exposed and people who are accused of these heinous crimes get exposed. That will be nice, that we can get this all out in the open. That's not there. So I made this comment on the show whenever that was last year, right, I believe. And then unprompted, he comes out and says that I'm an overly concussed wacko. In my opinion, it seemed like, because I believe that there was a list and that there were names on that, right? So, then we fast forward to this last week.
No,
right?
All right, hold on. He didn't just say that there was a list with names on it. He was saying that Jimmy will be very worried when that list comes out. What is the clear implication? What are people supposed to draw from that, okay?
And there's this two-step going on between we're just doing jokes.
Yeah.
It's just guys joking around. And also we're whistleblowers looking deep into the submerged parapolitics. And if you're just joking around, do that in one of your 5 houses and smoke weed and hang out. I don't care. No, pop your bottles, do all that stuff. But you know what? Don't implicate people who aren't actually implicated, because that is actually going to discredit maybe like if just say for instance somebody says, oh, I heard that Jimmy Kimmel was on this flight log thing, and then they go and look it up and says, oh, that's actually not true. All you have done is discrediting any further news that comes out about the Epstein thing, and say like people might just be talking crap about Tony Blair or whoever.
Well, he's pretending like he has such compassion for the victims. If you really had compassion for the victims, you wouldn't be so laissez-faire.
It wouldn't be a punchline.
Exactly, about these accusations.
That a lot of people, and I'm quoting myself here, a lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't come out. End quote. That's what I said. That's the entire quote. Okay? I was referring to the fact that if there is a list, which again, this hasn't come out yet, this was just a deposition, right? And there are names on it, then that would be the second time that a soft brain, junior college student, wacko, anti-vax.
Pause it for a sec. Just to give you an example, it was actually not the best tactic by Jimmy Kimmel. He made fun of where he went to college. He went to Cal. Basically to call him a faux intellectual. He made fun of where Rodgers went to college.
Oh, that's crazy. Why is Cal not good?
I don't really know. I guess it was just trying to say, like,
Isn't Cal Berkeley?
What does he know about anything? Rodgers started at community college and then transferred to Cal.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know.
Right.
So, I mean, like that, but Rodgers is very bitter about this.
It's
not a great joke, but like,
Kimmel can be an asshole, definitely.
Sure,
in his own way, but don't say
that's
like,
the context
also
of
he's
that.
on the Epstein flight log.
Right, that's, right.
Anti-Semite, purveyor, spreader of misinformation, conspiracy theorist, MAGA, whatever other things have been said by
Rogan listener,
him and other people in the media would be right twice. Now, let me just say that is the truth, number one. Number two, I totally understand how serious an allegation of pedophilia would be.
So I made a joke
for him to be
about
upset about that, I get it. Did you watch the quote? Because that's exactly what I said. Verbatim what I said on the show. Okay? I'm not stupid enough, even though you think I'm an idiot, and you made a lot of comments about my intelligence.
So this thing where he's so in his head.
He's so insecure, shockingly.
He can't, and I know you said this about me, like, stop prefacing it and say what you need to say.
Yeah.
Intelligence. But I'm not stupid enough to accuse you of that with absolutely zero evidence, concrete evidence. That's ridiculous. So I'm glad, and I think we can agree on something, is that one, those crimes are heinous, and two, I'm glad you're on the list, because those who are on the list, and this is what I think we can agree on, that at minimum there should be an inquiry into their involvement, especially if they went to the island, and at maximum there should be an investigation into it. So I hope that you'll get the same type of...
Wow. Aaron, thank you, Contrarian.
We all agree that the people on the Epstein flight list should be held accountable. Yes.
We think there should be, well, hey, first an inquiry, then if we need to get really serious, an investigation. If you want to really move the ball forward, Aaron, maybe say something like, also, we should be looking at the ranch in Arizona and who may have gone to that. I think maybe there's too much focus on the island, but... Aaron is taking all of his cues on this stuff from like Rogan and right-wing sort of like Jack Posobiec types who are only using this as a vehicle to get attention and also misdirecting the attention that would go to, say, Donald Trump himself toward more suitable political folks. Now, should we play the second clip here?
Yes.
Okay.
So this also is part two here. This is, as I mentioned, all the context of ESPN, right? And its ownership and Disney owning ABC and ESPN. Rodgers decides to, like, okay. I think Aaron Rodgers is paid like $1 million or something to do this, come on the show or something. There's some payment that he gets to go weekly on this program. And there have been other quarterbacks that have done things like this, like Ben Roethlisberger, who is a huge asshole, actually accused rapist,
right,
had a weekly radio hit on Pittsburgh radio when he was playing. And it was a huge issue for the team because he's an asshole and not a very good person and would throw his players under the bus, his teammates under the bus regularly on air. And like the Steelers had to respond to it, and it was a whole issue. And eventually, like Tomlin put an end to it. Rodgers does this on Pat McAfee show regularly. It's a weekly spot, and we now hear that he's apparently abandoning the weekly spot, and he'll just go on for big news stories. And like so, but what I'm trying to say is that he has really nothing to lose by not going on this show, except that he enjoys doing so. Because $1 million for a guy that's worth hundreds of millions, it means not millions. It means nothing. But for Pat McAfee, who is supposedly his friend, maybe calling out his boss on this program isn't the nicest thing to do. And yet that's what Rodgers does here.
Yeah, Rodgers doesn't seem to be doing him any favors. But I would also say Pat McAfee, especially towards the end here, when Rodgers starts saying people have been captured by the government, like you might want to.
Oh, he doesn't follow up at all.
Stop putting. But this
is how he got this ESPN deal, was because of all the publicity from the Rodgers spots weekly. That was the draw.
But I'm just saying, like, as a friend to Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Like I think Aaron Rodgers, I don't know what's the cause of it, but this isn't to me just like a Rogan listener. I mean, this is a guy who listens to Rogan, and as opposed to thinking Rogan's great, he might be a little bit out there sometimes. This is a guy who listens to Rogan, is like, Rogan is just telling us 1% of what he can actually say.
Oh no, he's down this wormhole. He's a full-on conspiracy theorist.
To move forward, I don't understand. To just finish this up, I do understand. But I don't understand a Mike Voss comment because he didn't help out either. And I'm going to quote Mike Voss. He said, "Aaron made a dumb and factually incorrect joke about Jimmy Kimmel. It should never have happened. We all realized that in the moment." Oh. Mike, you're not helping. You're not helping because I just read earlier exactly what I said. So, and this is the game plan of the media, and this is what they do. They try and cancel, and it's not just me.
Yeah.
And Mike Voss is a ESPN executive, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you know who he was before this?
No, but he put out a statement basically disavowing this. And I love when he says you're not helping. But
yeah.
I don't think he really cares about helping you.
He was describing reality.
Yeah. You're creating a massive liability for his company.
It's nowhere near just me. I mean, if you look at all the different people who've been censored from the internet especially during COVID, the canceling that went on, the censorship, using the government to try and censor people that happened. And if that doesn't work, then they go to name calling. I mentioned a lot of the names that I've been called, and they don't stick because I'm not anti-vax. I'm interested in informed consent.
Oh, yeah,
and
of course.
Things that are in the best interest of my body.
Immunized consent.
I'm not a MAGA. I've never had any affiliation with anybody associated with that movement, right? Which is okay if you are, though.
I hate
this
part.
There's different opinions all over the place,
throw up.
right? If you're that's your ideology, that's fine. I'm not a super political person. Okay, do whatever you want. Conspiracy theorists, that's fine, because if you look at the track record of conspiracy theorists in the last few years, they've been right about a lot of things. So I don't.
I'd like to jump off a bridge.
I mean, that's just like, this is their game plan. They use these.
Who is they?
Yeah.
Who is they? Who is they? People that make fun of you because you throw a football really well and you decide to put yourself out there. Like, he's constantly putting himself out there for derision and then getting upset that people have opinions.
People say, no, you're actually wrong about vaccines.
Yeah.
Actually, and that stuff actually isn't bearing out. And in fact, you look even worse than you did 6 months ago.
My goodness. All right. I
got to subject you to a little bit more.
Okay.
To cancel people. And they went and ran with this because it's the crazy anti-vaxxer wacko again, talking about, accusing somebody of being a pedophile.
With no evidence?
Of course, this is the game plan that they use. Incorrect, but that's the environment that we're in. There's a lot of people who have been captured by various, entities, government entities, whether we're talking about pharmaceutical industrial complex, or whether we're talking about believing that the government has a best interest in mind and we're puppeting, various narratives. In the end, if you are not someone whose opinion aligns with the mainstream narrative, this is what they're going to do with you. And it's not me. I'm not a victim. I don't give a shit. Say whatever the hell you want about me. That's fine.
Like
the people that know me and love me.
He says,
you know what I'm all about. My teammates know what I'm all about.
I
don't have,
most inspiring teammate, by the way. Congratulations.
They wanted to wrap up
in the middle of this whole thing from your teammates.
So it was announced today that he will not be appearing regularly on the program anymore. And yet today he went on because he's coming on for big news events with his invaluable commentary. He came on to talk about Bill Belichick leaving the Patriots. We shall see. Yeah. He has lost his freaking mind. There's like no other way to say it.
It's the sort of thing where, we're geared towards, let's say commodifying these sorts of events into humorous packages that help people understand the world a little bit better.
Yeah.
I am a Vikings fan growing up. I have nothing, I've never liked Aaron Rodgers. I've been negatively inclined towards him always. That sort of thing where he starts talking about many people have been captured by government agencies.
Mm-hmm.
He's out of his freaking mind.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he needs to not be encouraged about a lot of this stuff and, like, maybe be given some more perspective besides, like, Joe Rogan's lunatic guests.
Yeah. The Shailene Woodley breakup makes a little bit more sense. You connect on granola crunchy kind of, like, stuff like that. But then you realize, oh, wait, I'm actually on the leftist side and you're maybe a few steps away from QAnon.
Yeah. Robert Kennedy, baby.
Oy. Yep. He raises his sword for Robert Kennedy. That's what he tweeted. Quickly, gotta touch on this, and then we will get to our locks that Bradley sent to me from his honeymoon. Bill Belichick is leaving the New England Patriots. And, I don't really know what else can be said about Bill Belichick. I am not of the hater school. I think he's the greatest coach of all time, basically in any professional sports, but definitely top 5 in all professional sports, I think. Greatest football coach of all time. It's called a mutual parting. It appears like New England is going to go after Mike Vrabel now that he has left the Tennessee Titans, where clearly he was unhappy for a while. I mean, you saw the video of him when they traded A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles. He hated that move. Top 5 wide receiver. Why would he not? The Treylon Burks thing hasn't worked out, and that's in part because the Titans are too cheap to pay anybody. So if he goes to New England, that's not going to be a problem with Bob Kraft at the helm. He'll do whatever it takes to win from a financial perspective. But 24 seasons with the Patriots, 19 consecutive winning seasons, 17 division titles. As a coach, he has 333 total career victories, including his time with the Browns. Don Shula's record's 347, so he's going to try to break that. And that's why I think he will go to another team, but a team that's set up for success. I would put the Falcons as my number one choice there. They don't have a quarterback, but they've got pretty much everything else. Maybe the Chargers. I don't think so, though. The Raiders don't have a ton to get you excited. But, of those options, I would say Arthur Blank has the deepest pockets. And besides the quarterback, the Falcons are stacked everywhere. I also think there's a chance that, based on what I heard from what Jerry Jones said, for some reason, before the Cowboys were about to play in a playoff game, he made some comment about, we'll see, about Mike McCarthy's job security. That would be a crazy, crazy move, because Bill Belichick with the Dallas Cowboys would be just record breaking. But it's very much in the vein of Bill Parcells, who, after his 2-time Super Bowl winning run with the Giants, also went and coached the Dallas Cowboys. But they have a ton of talent there. I don't believe in Mike McCarthy either. I just don't think you should say that publicly if you're Jerry Jones. The Eagles, also, there's rumors that they may fire Nick Sirianni if they don't have success, because they've gone 1-5 in the last 6 games, despite being clearly a top 3 roster in the NFL. That would be a situation where Belichick would be set up for success. Seattle's another long shot situation there, but I think it's going to be coming down to a team that's ready to compete, where he can coach for 2 or so years, get over Don Shula's record, maybe win another Super Bowl, try to prove he can do it without Brady, and then he'll retire. But Belichick needs to change some things when he goes to a new team. He's got issues on the offensive side of the ball. He can still game plan for a defense, but one, he has issues in identifying what a modern day NFL offense needs to do right now. 2, he's got problems with personnel, because he's been the GM and he's been the head coach, and he still knows defense like the back of his hand. I get it. But the the days of when the Patriots were just like signing jitterbug white guys to be their slot receiver up the middle, those days are over. Like the NFL has caught on to that. And they really revolutionized that. They invented the modern slot receiver. They use shotgun more than any other team on offense. But offenses are so complex right now in the NFL. And like it's mostly you have to be fast and athletic. And the Patriots just outsmarted everybody, besides the season when they had Randy Moss. And then, of course, obviously, when they had the Hernandez-Gronk duo. Like, the athletes on that side of the ball were never the most impressive. It was always kind of like, we're going to outsmart you. But offensive minds in the NFL have just outpaced Bill Belichick. So he's going to need to go somewhere where he'll give the keys to the offense over to somebody else. He'll manage the team, game time situations, defense, game plans, all of that. But, I mean, I don't know. Like, what else can be said about that? He's an incredible coach. Bill Belichick, like, I have affection for him, even though I know a lot of Giants fans don't, which doesn't make any sense because the Giants beat them twice in the Super Bowl. But, like, these numbers are insane. I have them written down here. He's won 9 AFC championship games. He's appeared in the game 13 times, 6-3 in the Super Bowl. 2 of those losses were to the Giants, and the other was to the Eagles most recently of those losses. And of course, he won 6 rings. Like, it really, it's, and I know people will say that's mostly Brady. I think that's a bit reductive because those first 3 Super Bowls were defense first. And Brady was kind of managing the offense. He eventually grew into the guy that he was. But it was the team, it was the magic of the two of them together that makes the Patriots of that era an incredible dynasty, and more impressive than the 49ers dynasties, more impressive than the Steelers, more impressive than the Cowboys, because the Patriots did it, this level of dominance, in a salary cap era where everybody else was supposedly playing by the same damn rules. And that's what makes, I think, Bill Belichick clearly the greatest coach in the history of the NFL. But he's going to go somewhere else, and he's going to break Don Shula's record. And I do think the Patriots are going to make a beeline for Vrabel. They have to pretend they're interviewing other people, comply by the Rooney Rule, interview a black coach, and then they'll hire Vrabel. That's, I think, what it'll come down to. So that is that. And with that, we're going to
realize how
move
washed
on.
I am.
Yeah.
Because I remember Bill Parcells as the Patriots head coach.
Oh, you do?
I remember press conferences, like watching SportsCenter early, him and even the Pete Carroll era, and when they changed their helmets to the cool new flashy one from the old guy. But it reminds me of the conversation with Popovich too, because the Spurs are an embarrassment.
Yes. Although I saw, did Wemby have a triple-double the other night? Or
well, Wemby looks great, but
Yeah.
the context they're putting him in is a joke, which you wouldn't. You thought, like, because of the way Popovich came into the Spurs with Duncan, it would have been like that again, the perfect guy, and instead they kind of, well, they're much worse. They went to the finals the year they got Duncan. And
Yeah.
This year they're one of the worst teams in the league, and but it's weird because both those guys had such a prolonged era of dominance, and now to see them sort of brought down to earth,
kind of limping,
and
yeah.
to see if the rest of the like leagues catch up to them. It's interesting how that happens.
Yeah, it is interesting to me, but you don't hear the same stuff about Popovich that you hear now about Belichick, that it's just Brady. Like, I mean, you don't hear it's just Tim Duncan, or, you know, like, I don't remember hearing that.
Maybe
kind of
not as
stuff.
much. They get a little bit of the, it helps when you have Tim Duncan and that sort of thing. But yeah, you're probably right. I think, I don't think Popovich could get run out of town.
I don't think so either. Yeah. I mean, I think the difference is just like also the Spurs are a smaller market team or whatever, and Bob Kraft and the Patriots, like they're the fan base, and like the Patriots have done such egregious things under Bill Belichick in the past few years that it's like the management of the team looks bad because, for example, last year he doesn't trust anybody, he doesn't like believe anybody, or he doesn't want to trust anybody who's been outside of like his coaching tree. So he appointed a former special teams coordinator and a defensive coordinator, former head coach, to run the offense. And it was one of the worst offenses in the NFL, all because he was too afraid to bring in an outside voice. And it's just like it becomes kind of like recalcitrant.
Yeah, it's like regimes can't reproduce themselves with future leaders.
Yes, exactly. All right, we're going to give Bradley from not beyond the grave, but from outside of the country. I don't know why I said beyond the grave.
Bradley's still alive.
Bradley's still alive.
In case you thought we were being this sort of like, oh yeah, it's just drink. And
yeah. No,
he's talk about basketball. Oh, rest in peace, Bradley.
He's still with us, I promise you. But he sent me his picks for Wild Card Weekend last week. I went 1-2. God damn it. How could the Patriots really... Yeah, if you could put that up. How could the Patriots lose so badly in a snow game in New England on Belichick's last game? Like, I'm furious that pick did not come through. And, maybe I thought Jared Stidham was better than he was.
I did see you and Bill Simmons got that pick wrong.
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. Like, that felt just like, to me, gotta be a New England game. Snowy. They beat the Jets basically every single time, and somehow the Jets won in that game. But this week, I'm still 4 games ahead of Bradley, so everybody, relax. Hopefully it's going to be all right. And by everybody, I mean myself. Wobble. Yeah. I'm going, and we're going head to head here. I'm taking the Browns in Houston, 5 seed versus 4 seed here, because I'm surprised. Maybe I'm not surprised. Houston's at home, so the fact that they're 2.5-point dogs, I guess, is a little bit of probably an insult to the team. But the offense just has not been the same since the line got banged up and since Tank Dell got injured out for the year with his fracture issue. And I really like Nico Collins. Completely underestimated him going into the year, and he's going off. But they just don't have enough receiving options. And even though CJ Stroud didn't play when they face each other in the regular season, the offensive line when Stroud played last week against the Colts just wasn't doing that well, especially on the interior, and Cleveland has the best defense in the league. So I just feel like Cleveland's going to go in there. It's not a really significant home field advantage for Houston. And with a banged up O-line, as amazing as CJ Stroud is, rookie of the year, already a top 8 quarterback in the NFL. He's incredible. Victory lap for me when I said he was clearly the best quarterback in the draft. I just think the Browns are rested. I think they're going to win that game, and they just seem to be able to throw players off with their aggressive defense. Bradley has a different perspective. I would not be shocked. Again, we're only picking with 6 games in mind this week, so it's difficult to kind of pick out what you like the most. Bradley's going the opposite direction, has Houston plus 2.5. We shall see. That is the first game of Wild Card Weekend. And I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs minus 4.5 in Kansas City against the Dolphins. The Dolphins have lost their 2 best pass rushers to season-ending injuries, Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. Their secondary has been banged up. I know, Jalen Ramsey's playing a bit better, but the Dolphins already play quite poorly away from home. The weather in Kansas City is supposed to be 3 degrees at kickoff with a wind chill of -17. Wind gusts up to 28 miles per hour. For a team with a quarterback with a weak arm, a team that is predicated on speed and offense to this degree, and with a banged up defense in Kansas City, even though the Chiefs have not had a good year, even though their offense is not playing well and their receivers stink, I just can't see the Dolphins pulling this off. And I think it could get ugly with that kind of wind chill and that kind of wind gusts, because Tua can't throw in weather, and we know this already. This is the worst outcome possible. They've limped into the playoffs. They lost at home to the Bills when they could have clinched that division, and they had ample opportunity to close that game up. So I'm going with the Chiefs minus 4.5 in Kansas City. Bradley's second pick, Rams in Detroit over 51.5. That is a very high over. But I guess the point being is that, both of these teams are kind of offensive powerhouses. We shall see. I don't know if I would have taken that, but, let's pray for the under there, everybody. And I'm going with the over. Philly and Tampa. 44 seemed quite low in a decent weather game. I'm not really seeing any kind of issues that way. I know that like AJ Brown is probably not going to be playing, so that's why I couldn't pick Philly or Tampa, really, just also because of the Baker Mayfield injury. I know each team is banged up on offense, but for 44 points, that seems a little bit low with the secondary that Philadelphia has, and with like the ability for the Eagles to score when they need to. The Bucs offensive line is decent. Eagles secondary has not been playing well this year. Mike Evans, guarantee it, touchdown, gonna happen. So I'm taking the over for that. And Bradley actually has the Bucs +3, so it seems like he thinks they're gonna win, and that the Eagles' slide of 1-5 in the last 6 games is for real. So just to recap, I'm going with the Browns -2.5 in Houston. Bradley's taking the opposite, +2.5 in Houston for the Texans. I'm going with the Chiefs -4.5 at home in that chilly-ass game. Over 51.5 in Detroit, that game for Bradley. I'm going over 44, Tampa, Philadelphia, and Bradley has Tampa +3. So we shall see. Wild card week, second favorite week of the NFL year. The best week of the NFL year is divisional week. Same amount of games, 6 games, but you root out the shitty teams that don't belong. 1 seeds play again. Boom. That's going to be the best week.
Kowalski from Nebraska asks, have you decided which soda the loser has to drink yet?
No, but Matt was inspecting those. Which one do you think is the most disgusting?
Well, I ordered them by which I think the most grossest
Oh,
is.
you rearranged them on the shelf?
The ranch dressing, I think, is the worst.
Oh my God. There's a ranch dressing.
There's a ranch one. There's, I think, sweet corn also that kind of makes my stomach turn just thinking about. So, you guys will have to decide that amongst yourselves.
We shall. All right. Any final thoughts here, Matt?
I do not know.
Okay.
Do you want to play a little bit of this, Stephen?
Okay, fine. This is our really, really quick. Matt has requested that I listen to Stephen A. Smith speaking about. What is he speaking about here?
About Jason Whitlock, who is lunatic.
Right-wing commentator.
Right-wing bigot, yeah. And I mean, there's, yeah.
Who Stephen Crowder assumed was a professional athlete because he's a black man.
He's a big black guy, yeah.
I love Stephen A. Minority opinion. He's great at what he does.
Jason Whitlock. I said that name. It's not a name I've uttered. I normally don't do that. But it's necessary to do now. I've had enough of that fat bastard. That piece of shit.
So I have to apologize here. I thought this one wasn't the one with the anti-fat stuff.
I mean,
but we're just gonna let Stephen A. cook a little bit.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, like we allow for Chris Christie jokes because he's such a bad guy.
He's such a bad guy. Whitlock is equally like really. You don't have to look very deep to find really rancid stuff with Jason Whitlock. So, yeah.
And I want to make sure that before I go to break, I want anyone out there who watches me, anyone out there who knows me, anyone out there, no matter what you think of me, I want you to remember, I never talk about him. I never talk about my colleagues. I don't do that. This is a first. But it's necessary. And when I say don't talk about them, I don't mean don't talk about them literally. I don't get in on them like I'm about to do now. I literally called my pastor and asked for his forgiveness and understanding in advance because he's not going to recognize the person he's about to hear.
Oh my God.
We'll cut it there. You'll have to watch. It's a long.
No. I need to hear a little bit more. What's he gonna say?
We're gonna skip a little bit ahead.
Skip ahead. Yeah. I mean, he does a long. He's giving a long prelude to basically say praying for forgiveness from God before he says something. So I need to hear what he says.
Sorry. Here we go.
To get an article out because you ran that shit so bad you were running it into the ground.
No, this was you. I think this was towards the end. Just restart it. Yeah. Come on, Jason Whitlock. I mean, come on, Stephen A. Kill him.
Did you tell them that once this same article in Deadspin came out, Weeks later, you wrote a lengthy apology to me in an email, begging me to forgive you, pointing out how you were betrayed by this particular writer, so you know how I must feel that you betrayed me. Did you tell the folks that, you bitch? Did you tell them? You fat piece of shit.
Oh my God.
Did you tell them that? Got the names. We got Jamel Hill. We got Howard Bryant.
Ooh.
You want me to bring up the other writers that wouldn't work for you?
Ooh.
Why it took you nearly 2 years to get an article out? Because you ran that shit so bad you were running it into the ground?
Oh my God. That's amazing.
That's in reference to a Deadspin article that came out, which I remember. It was a great article. It's about how Jason Whitlock was given some sort of big funding by, was it ESPN or some other organization, to try to launch a sports vertical, and failed because none of the other black writers, like, they all realized, like, oh, this guy's a lunatic.
Yeah. That's so funny. All right, well, I can't wait to watch the rest of that. Any final words?
No, it's good to be here.
Yes, check out Left Reckoning. Yes.
Absolutely.
Buy their merch. Absolutely. All right, folks. See ya sometime next week. I'll figure it out. Bye-bye.
Peace.